Socrates, frequently credited as the founder of Western philosophy, never wrote texts. We know about him thanks to his students Plato and Xenophon, who documented Socrates' teachings in the form of dialogues. Socrates is recognized for introducing the concepts of the Socratic method and Socratic irony. The Socratic method takes shape in dialogues using short questions and answers, where Socrates and his debaters examine various subjects through questions and answers. This was known as Socratic dialogue and would ultimately find themselves at a deadlock, as they were all unable to define what they thought they understood. Socrates would pretend to be ignorant on the subject being discussed to highlight the inconsistencies in the ideas of those he challenged. This was called Socratic irony. Socrates' most famous quote is derived from this irony, "I know that I know nothing." Socrates' theory of virtue theorizes that all virtues share a fundamental unity, a demonstration of knowledge. According to Socrates, the root cause of a person's moral shortcomings lies in their lack of knowledge. The statement, "no one is willingly bad," originates from this theory. Plato is known for the theory of forms and theorises, that abstract, ideal forms or concepts exist independently of the physical world, and that the material world is a mere reflection or imperfect embodiment of these perfect forms. These forms are considered more real and fundamental than the transient and imperfect objects we encounter in our everyday experiences. Plato believed that the physical world is only a shadow or a copy of the world of forms, which he considered to be eternal and unchanging. The material world is subject to change and decay, but the forms are timeless and absolute. For example, consider the concept of justice. According to Plato, there exists a perfect and unchanging form of justice in the realm of forms. The instances of justice we observe in the world are imperfect reflections of this ideal form. So when we encounter acts of justice in the world, they are merely instances of imitating the higher ideal form of justice. This applies not only to justice, but to other abstract concepts like beauty, equality, and truth. It can also be explained in Plato's allegory of the cave. Imagine prisoners confined since birth, chained to face a wall in a dimly lit cave. They perceive only shadows cast from objects passing by the cave fire behind them, such as a bird. The shadow of the bird represents the reality that we perceive through our senses, whereas the bird passing by the cave entrance represents the true reality of the bird itself. Aristotle. Differing from Plato, Aristotle challenged that forms are embodied in individual entities known as imminent realism. Aristotle proposed that universal forms are not abstract entities existing independently in a separate realm, but are instead central within individual things. In other words, each object embodies its essential form. For instance, consider a tree. Aristotle would argue that the form of a tree is present within each individual tree rather than existing in a perfect world of ideal tree forms. This concept of imminent realism emphasizes the core connection between a particular object and its essential nature, challenging the notion of a separate realm of perfect forms. Additionally, Aristotle proposed that the cosmos consists of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, evenly distributed throughout the universe, forming heavenly spheres, stars, and planets. Aristotle's elemental theory influenced ancient and medieval thought, contributing to our historical understanding of the composition of the cosmos. Epicurus was a pioneer of living wisely and attaining tranquility through a balanced pursuit of pleasure. He founded the philosophy of Epicureanism, a school of thought that rejected excesses and championed a simple yet profound ethos: pleasure as the ultimate goal. Contrary to hedonistic stereotypes, Epicurus redefined pleasures as sustained tranquility derived from mental and physical well-being. His ataraxia, a state of serene contentment, emerged as the cornerstone of a fulfilling life. Epicurus believed that fears of the divine or death disrupted human happiness. He contended that gods, if they existed, were indifferent and did not interfere in human affairs. This liberated individuals from irrational fears, paving the way for a rational approach to life. Epicurus's teachings also advocated for friendship as a paramount source of joy. Genuine connections, he argued, enriched life, fostering a sense of security and shared pleasures. The simple pleasures of friendship, modest living, and the appreciation of nature were, for Epicurus, the keys to a blissful existence. Epicurus thought everything in the universe boiled down to two things: matter and void. Matter is made of atoms, each with fixed qualities like shape and weight. Epicurus said for the universe to last, what it's made of can't change. He believed there are endless atoms, but only a limited number of types, an infinite empty space or void. Epicurus thought our senses depend on atoms. Everything sends out particles that interact with us. Even though these particles don't have the qualities we see, smell, or hear, they still make those sensations. Due to Epicurus's heavy reliance on the senses and learning through experiences, he is labeled an empiricist. Pythagoras. Pythagoras is celebrated for the Pythagorean theorem, a mathematical gem that illuminates the relationship between the sides of a right-angled triangle. Yet, his contributions extend far beyond geometry. Pythagoras founded a mystical and mathematical school, nurturing an intellectual sanctuary where numbers were not just tools for calculation, but keys to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Central to Pythagorean thought was the belief in the mystical significance of numbers, viewing them as the building blocks of reality. His exploration of the mathematical relationships in musical scales unveiled the mathematical harmony inherent in sound. Included in this is Pythagoras's harmony of the spheres, which maintained that the planets and stars move according to mathematical equations, which correspond to musical notes and thus produce an inaudible symphony. However, Pythagoras was no mere scholar. He was also a polymath who also contributed to astronomy. Pythagoras and his contemporary Parmenides of Elea were both credited with having been the first to teach that the Earth was round and had 5 climatic zones. They were also the first to identify the morning star and the evening star as the same celestial object, now known as Venus. Diogenes. Diogenes, a walking, talking paradox, upended every convention with a bark and a bare bottom. Diogenes, who founded cynicism, didn't subscribe to the Athenian menu of desires. Money, power, fame, bah! Those were scraps fit for fools. True happiness, he barked, lay in stripping life bare, living in harmony with nature's gnawing, not society's gilded cage. He called it following right reason. Having accustomed himself to the elements, he resided in a recycled wine jar from the Temple of Cybele, shunning material excess. Even his sole wooden bowl met its demise when he observed a peasant boy drinking from cupped hands, prompting Diogenes to rue the needless baggage he had carried. Despite Athenian norms prohibiting eating in the marketplace, he defied convention, asserting that hunger struck him precisely during those moments. Illuminating the absurdity of societal behaviors, he wandered in daylight with a lamp, proclaiming to be looking for an honest man. Diogenes, seeking virtue and independence, encountered not men, but rascals and scoundrels. His teachings unfolded through lived examples, emphasizing wisdom and happiness in societal detachment, while dismissing conventional norms regarding family, politics, property, and reputation. In his philosophical clash with Plato, Diogenes displayed disdain for abstract philosophy, favoring Antisthenes as the true inheritor of Socratic ideals. Sharing Socrates' belief in moral improvement, he nonetheless harbored contempt for human ignorance. Plato, dubbing Diogenes a Socrates gone mad, witnessed his provocative response to the featherless biped's definition. Plucking a chicken and presenting it at Plato's academy, Diogenes mocked, "Behold, I've brought you a man," prompting the addition of "with broad flat nails" to the definition. Diogenes' irreverent acts, including spitting, urinating, flatulence, and public self-love, served as a commentary on societal norms, reflecting his unyielding commitment to challenging established conventions.